Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because honestly, we are tackling one of the most powerful psychological frameworks out there. We hear the term growth mindset everywhere, right? Schools, corporate boardrooms, literally all over social media. But let's be real, a lot of times it's just thrown around as this vague motivational buzzword. Well, today, we are stripping away all that fluff. We're going to decode the growth mindset and transform it from this abstract concept into a scientifically backed, highly actionable framework for your own personal evolution. We're talking hard neuroscience, massive data sets, and the actual daily tools you can use to literally rewire your brain for success. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the two mindsets. Second, your brain on growth. Third, classrooms to boardrooms. Fourth, love and imposter syndrome. Fifth, the false growth mindset. And finally, your daily growth toolkit.
Section 1. The two mindsets, the foundation of belief.
So to really understand how to grow, we first got to look at the foundation of our beliefs. This whole paradigm shift actually started with Stanford psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck and her groundbreaking theory on our hidden beliefs. Think about it like a side-by-side comparison. In a fixed mindset, intelligence is treated as a finite resource. You either have it or you don't. And because of that, your primary goal becomes validation. You constantly feel like you have to prove you're smart. Effort? Well, that's actually seen negatively, kind of like a sign of low natural ability. And criticism just feels like a straight-up personal attack. But here's the absolute game changer. A growth mindset flips this entirely. It views the hand you're dealt as literally just your starting point. Intelligence is something that can be cultivated. The goal isn't looking smart, it's true mastery. Effort is just the essential path you take to get there, and criticism isn't an attack at all. It's actually a diagnostic roadmap telling you exactly how to level up.
Moving on to Section 2, your brain on growth, the biological proof.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds a lot like just positive thinking. But I promise you, it's a biological reality. It reflects how our brains literally operate. The bridge between the psychology and the biology, it's found right here in neuroplasticity. Basically, this is your brain's dynamic capacity to physically reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your entire lifespan. It totally validates that the brain is not some static machine. It physically reshapes itself based on your experiences, the thoughts you have, and your repetitive practice.
Now, what's really fascinating about this is the specific biological mechanisms making it happen. When you practice something, you trigger synaptic plasticity. That's just strengthening the communication between your existing neurons. But when you push harder, you trigger structural plasticity, which is the actual physical remodeling of your brain's pathways. It's like building new roads. And this whole process is accelerated by something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's a critical protein that boosts neuron resilience. And get this, you can naturally trigger BDNF just through cardiovascular exercise. Finally, sleep. Specifically, REM and deep sleep. That's when your brain actually consolidates all these new patterns. So your daily lifestyle choices are directly fueling your brain's physical growth. How cool is that?
And we can actually see how mindset alters brain activity in real time. Researchers used EEG brainwave studies to look at exactly what happens in the brain the very millisecond we make a mistake. So everyone gets this initial subconscious conflict signal called the ERN. But the real magic happens with the P, that's the error positivity signal. It's a larger, fully conscious signal where the brain allocates its attention to the error. Studies show that growth-minded individuals have significantly higher P amplitudes. Their brains literally lean into the mistake to process it as valuable information, rather than shrinking away from it as a threat. They pay attention to the error, and because they do that, they actually perform better on the next try.
Section 3. Classrooms to boardrooms, real-world impact.
So what happens when you take this biology and scale it up to massive institutions? Well, let's look at the hard data. Take the results from the National Study of Learning Mindsets. This was a massive randomized trial with over 12,000 ninth graders all across the US. They gave these students a short online program basically teaching them that their brains are like muscles that grow with effort. And the results? For previously lower achieving students, this simple intervention acted like a psychological buffer. It improved their core GPA by 0.10 points, it reduced DNF averages by over 5 percentage points, and it even bumped up their enrollment in advanced math courses, like Algebra 2, by 3 percentage points. It fundamentally altered their academic trajectory.
But, and this is absolutely crucial, let's see how this builds into the seed and soil hypothesis. You see, a mindset intervention is really just a seed, and a seed is never going to grow on concrete. right? It requires the supportive soil of a growth-oriented environment to truly flourish. For example, if a student learns about the growth mindset, but then a teacher gives them fixed comfort feedback like saying, hey, it's okay, not everyone is a math person, that totally invalidates the student's effort. Mindset interventions just don't work in a vacuum. The environment around you has to validate that effort, and mistakes are the true path to learning.
And this exact principle is what drove one of the most incredible corporate turnarounds in history. When Satya Nadella took over as CEO of Microsoft, the company was really struggling with internal silos and stagnant innovation. But, inspired by Carol Dweck's research, he initiated a radical cultural reset. He famously declared that Microsoft needed to transition from a know-it-all culture to a learn-it-all culture.
To make that a reality, Microsoft had to completely dismantle its fixed mindset infrastructure. They literally got rid of stack ranking, which was the system that graded employees on a curve and massively penalized risk-taking and collaboration. Instead, they shifted their performance metrics. They started rewarding not just individual impact, but how well you contributed to others and leveraged others' work. They even institutionalized curiosity by creating hackathons and empathy museums to eliminate the fear of failure. And the result of all this? By prioritizing learning over proving who was the smartest person in the room, Microsoft's market value skyrocketed past $2 trillion. I mean, that is the literal financial value of a growth mindset.
Section 4. Love and imposter syndrome, the personal stakes.
Okay, so we've looked at the macro level, but let's zoom back into something deeply personal. Just like intelligence, we actually hold mindsets about love. People with fixed destiny beliefs think soulmates either exist or they don't. So at the very first sign of conflict, they panic. They view that struggle as proof of a mismatch, and they immediately get defensive to protect their ego. On the flip side, people with growth beliefs understand that love takes work. They view conflict as just a necessary development step. And this leads to what psychologists actually call the Michelangelo phenomenon, which is where partners actively sculpt and support each other toward becoming their best selves through mutual effort. It's really beautiful.
And this brilliantly illustrates how deeply a fixed mindset can damage our inner life, especially when it comes to imposter syndrome. Think about it. If you believe your abilities are completely static, then any struggle you face just feels like evidence that you're a phony. You start attributing all your successes entirely to external luck because you genuinely don't believe you grew to achieve them. It forces you to create performance avoid goals, where your main objective at work becomes just hiding your mistakes rather than actually learning anything. It is all driven by a fixed mindset's core fear of failure, where failing isn't just an outcome, it's viewed as a devastating declaration of your identity.
Section 5. The false growth mindset, a sophisticated warning.
Now, I need you to pay close attention here, because as this concept has gotten super popular, it's also been heavily distorted. Beware the false growth mindset. You can't just claim you have a growth mindset simply because you're an open-minded person. The absolute biggest mistake is praising effort without any strategy. If you just tell someone you can do anything, or you praise lackluster effort that goes nowhere, you're turning effort into a mere consolation prize. And ironically, that actually reinforces a fixed mindset because it completely ignores the hard work of finding new strategies, seeking mentorship, and, actually learning.
The honest reality is we all have a fixed mindset sometimes. We all have triggers that make our egos feel threatened. The key is to observe your own internal dialogue without judgment and flip the script. Let's say a high-effort task is causing you overwhelm. A fixed response says, I'm incapable. A growth reframe says, okay, let's break this down into manageable pieces. When critical feedback sparks defensiveness, reframe it. View it as a gift of information for your progress. And when the success of others triggers jealousy, use it to analyze their path for inspiration. Recognizing these triggers is literally the first step to conquering them.
Section 6. Your Daily Growth Toolkit. Action and Habits.
Now, theory is fantastic, but real change requires action. Sustainable development means you have to integrate belief with habit. James Clear's framework of identity-based habits is absolutely perfect for this. See, most people try to change by focusing on the outcome, like, I want to be smarter. But true change? That starts at the identity level. You first decide who you are. I am a lifelong learner. Then you focus on the processes, casting small, daily votes for that identity through your actions. The outcomes will naturally follow the identity you build. To help automate those votes, we've got a rapid-fire toolkit for you. First, use the 2-minute rule to ensure any new habit takes under 120 seconds to start. Simple. Then, use habit stacking to link a new behavior to an existing routine, like reviewing your goals while you drink your morning coffee. And in our modern digital ecosystem, we have some incredible apps to help out. Apps like Growth Day are great for tracking daily growth streaks. Headway offers these awesome 15-minute micro-learning book summaries so you can learn on the go. Day One provides AI-powered reflection to help catch those fixed mindset triggers we talked about. And Todoist is brilliant for converting those big, abstract growth goals into daily, executable actions.
But listen, if you only take away one tool from today, let it be the magic of the word yet. This is such a simple but incredibly powerful linguistic hack. When you hit a wall and your brain is screaming, "I can't do this," or "I don't understand this," just add the word yet to the end of the sentence. I can't do this yet. It fundamentally alters your entire cognitive approach. It signals to your brain that the door is still open and that the potential for future mastery is entirely within your grasp.
That simple shift is literally the democratization of potential. That gray, squishy sponge inside your skull is your absolute greatest resource. And the growth mindset is the operating system that allows it to function at its peak. So I want to leave you with this thought to carry into your day. Take a close look at your own life right now. What is one fixed mindset trigger holding you back? And how are you going to apply the magic of the word yet to it today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep growing.